Good afternoon, and welcome to a class put on by Rutherford County Library System. Today we will be looking at collecting family history. My name is Trey Gwynn, and I am the Technology and Outreach Coordinator for the Rutherford County Library System. And we're going to look at some of the digital and library resources that you can marshal to your objective of collecting family history, and my suggestions on how you can go about using free stuff to preserve some of that stuff, at least digitally. We're focusing on the digital aspect of things. And most of what we're going to talk about is stuff that is either available free on the internet or in the case of like Gmail and stuff like that, or it is free at the library, free to use at the library. And we'll talk about how you can access those things. Although I am in my office at the admin building, which means that I cannot access some of those things. I can show you how to get to them, but because I'm not actually in the library, I also cannot click on them, just like you can't click on them at home, because, well, for technical reasons, but still, you can use them at the library. Now, this class is intended to help you get started collecting a digital archive of your family history. You know, every family has a dusty box of family documents moldering in some grandparent's attic, or that uncle that is super into collecting family history, or a great aunt that is full of interesting stories that could be lost if she passes away. Or, you know, it's also a possibility that you might be part of a family that hasn't been interested in collecting family history. How do we take that aunt's oral history or the box of family history and create a digital record of it that can be accessed by you and your cousin Earl, who lives in California? Or if you're just getting started, how can you use library resources to start your own collection of family history? So our objectives today are to look at how Google Drive, a free program, can help you collect your family history. We're going to talk a little bit about oral history best practices and some of the ways that you can use library resources to record some family history. We'll also talk about free, digital apps that you can use on your computer or your smartphone for collecting family, like amateur family oral histories. We'll talk about collecting family documents. We'll talk about Ancestry.com and other genealogy resources that are available for free if you're actually in the library, in one of our libraries. We'll talk about how to digitize, how the library can help you digitize some of these documents, and we'll talk about how to actually go about saving some of these documents to your Google Drive. Now, here we go. Let's start with Google Drive. First, what is Google Drive? It is a free, easy to use program. Now, some of you may already have Google Drive. If you have an email address that ends in @gmail.com, you have Google Drive. However, here's what I suggest. For this specific application, my suggestion is that you set up a separate Google Drive that you can then share with other collaborators, right? So, for example, in preparation for this class, I actually made Gwen Family History at gmail.com so that I could give an example of how I could create a repository of Gwen family stuff. Obviously, you could use your personal Gmail account, but you know, even though Gmail and Google Drive come with free cloud storage, it is limited, and so after a little while you'll have to pay money for extra storage. And we're talking about, especially as we get further into the 20th and 21st century, we're talking about audio recordings, we're talking about video recordings, and that stuff takes up a lot of space. because Google Drive is made to share with collaborators, I can make a folder on the drive of my family history account and share it with anyone as long as I know their email address. And that way, if I have an uncle again in California and an aunt in Florida, I can add them to this folder, and then they can use their own email to upload stuff into the folder. I know that there are some privacy concerns with Google search specifically. That's one of those trade-offs that everyone has to make a decision for themselves. I can tell you that unless there's some sort of scandal that we just don't know about yet in the Google world, there is no evidence that Google Drive, that Google has as much access to the information available on Google Drive as they have for like your Google searches. So it's just something to keep in mind. I think it's relatively safe based on what we know. Now, of course, I could say that, and then tomorrow, some expose about how awful Google is with your personal information in your Google Drive could come out. So you'll just have to keep an eye on that kind of thing. Sharing with your collaborators is super easy. You have two choices. You could share your login information, which I would not suggest because it is, that is a security. It could compromise your login security. Instead, my suggestion would be that you add people as collaborators, and all you need to do that is their email address, and that's it. So, for example, if I go to, here it is. So here's gwidfamilyhistory@gmail.com, right? So if I go to the little dots over here and click on that and go to Drive, it'll open up this drive for me, right? And then so I'm gonna make a folder, new folder, family history, save. If I want to add collaborators, all I have to do is right click on the folder I want to share, go up to share, and then it'll bring up this dialog box. Ta-da! And all I have to do is put in the email address of the person that I want to add as a collaborator. So it's real easy to add a collaborator. Once they're on, all they have to do is start putting stuff into that folder, and they'll have access to it. One of the things that I'll suggest that you put into your folders, your Gmail folders, is recorded family stories. And so in some ways I'm talking about impromptu and amateur oral history. The holidays are a great time to collect family history. We're coming up on some useful holidays for that kind of thing. This is a great opportunity to record family stories. I have this great story from my aunt that I wish I had recorded. My great aunt Mary was telling me this story once. I had gotten to her house before everybody else. It was Thanksgiving and we were having it at her house, but I lived closer to her than everybody else, so I was there first. And we were sitting around talking, and she started talking about how she and her family went to visit her brothers who were attending Columbia University. They got to New York, and they were in the train station. They were in the train station, and they're sitting around, and all of a sudden they hear someone yell, "Heil Hitler!" Now this is back during World War II. That's as much of the story as I know, because the second she got to that part, the rest of my family knocked on the door, and I was never able to get her to get that story started again. And then a couple of years later, she passed away. So I would love to have that story, just because I'm super curious. And so this is an opportunity. These holidays are opportunities for you to just turn the recorder on. Obviously, this is not an oral history class. Oral history is a discipline with a huge list of best practices. And you can follow some of those. I'll give you a link to where you can find some of those. But there are a few things that you should keep in mind, even if you're going to do an amateur oral history. First, conduct background research on the person, topic, or larger context in both primary and secondary sources. So for example, if I was talking to my great Aunt Mary, right, I would want to have some baseline understanding of what kind of stories I wanted to get out of her, what her life experiences, what some of her life experiences are, like broad, not specific stuff. I would want to get permission from her, ideally in writing. Don't assume that only your family will be interested in what you collect. Don't presume that that's the case, because there's a great possibility that you might find something special or interesting. And just because gone are the days where historians only care about like the most important people. They want to have reservoirs of information about regular everyday people. So even if you're talking to Uncle Bob, who never even left, I grew up in Coffee County, so let's just say Coffee County, at some point someone might want to have that, and so don't assume that they won't. Respect the rights of your interviewees to refuse to discuss certain topics. Just because you'd like to have some information about moments in their lives that might have been tumultuous or difficult doesn't mean that you can push to get information from them if they don't want to talk about it. And of course, you can always take some time to prepare and educate yourself on some more best oral history best practices. You can visit the Oral History Association at oralhistory.org, and if you go to oralhistory.org/about/principles and practices revised 2009, which is a mouthful, but it's up on the screen, you can find a much longer and more extensive list of items. And here in a minute, we'll talk about what you can do once you have those recorded and how you can record them. We'll talk about that here in a minute. In fact, we'll talk about it now. I'm not looking at my notes very closely. So, for example, let's see. Next. So, one of the first library resources that we're going to talk about is the Tech Recording Studio, which can be found at the Technology Engagement Center, which is on the corner of Medical and Minerva on the here in Murfreesboro, and it's on the campus of Hopgood Elementary. One of the things that we have there is a hobbyist level recording studio. It's nice, but it's not professional. I would say it was hobbyist level, but it is free. You can use your library card to book time online. If you go to, in fact, I can just show you. Let me see here. Let's go to rcls.org. So if you go to our website, rclstn.org, you can go to this button right here, which is room bookings, and then one of the choices over here is the recording studio. In fact, it's the very bottom one, and so that's how you can do that. But it has a nice microphone and a Mac that you can record onto, and the staff there can at least help get you set up a little bit, and might even be able to troubleshoot some issues if you have a problem. There's enough room. It used to be a closet, but there's enough room for two people easily in there. I think right now, because of COVID, they're not allowing generally two people at a time in there. But if you if you live together, I think they'll make an exception. Now, however, if you don't, earlier we were talking about using the holidays as an opportunity to record some family history. If you don't want to take your holiday time and go over to the tech to record something, that's fine. You have other opportunities. For example, one of the things that you can do is use one of these things. All of us have one of these in our pockets, or almost all of us have one of these in our pockets right now. We have smartphones, right? And depending on the kind of phone that you have, there are different free apps that will allow you to record a conversation using your phone. If you have an Android, there's a whole bunch of different recording programs. The one that I've had the most success with is the Easy Voice Recorder. If you have a Pixel, like I do, it actually comes with its own recording software on there, but the Pixel's a little different because it's Google's like flagship phone. And if you have an iPhone, of course, GarageBand is an app that you can use for voice recording. If you would rather use a laptop, so like if you're I don't know why I said laptop, but if you would rather use a computer, right? There are also free programs that you can use. Again, for Macs, you have GarageBand. GarageBand is kind of the industry standard over there. For PCs, Audacity is a free recording app, and it is simultaneously fully functional, like fully featured, right, and easy to use. So it can be as advanced or as difficult as you want it to be, just about. And it can also be very simple. You could just set it up, and there's a big red button in the corner that says record, and it will record whatever you're saying. So that is a free program that you can use to record some family history. Now, say you've spent some time, right, collecting some family history from your holidays together, or something like that, and you wanted to take a file and upload it to your drive. It's pretty easy. I'll show you how it works. So if I go excuse me, I'm going to close that. So I'm in my drive, right? If I right click, so if I right click in this area, this big middle area, right, it brings up this dialog box, and one of those things, I don't know if you can read it, but one of those things is upload files. If I click on that, it will open up this dialog box. Oh, it's not showing for you all. Why did it show the other one but not this one? I'm dragging it around. Anyways, it's one of those dialog boxes that shows you different folders on your computer. You find the thing that you want to upload. It's still not showing, which stinks. I'm sorry about that. I thought because it showed the other one it would show this, but it's not. And I'm just gonna find a random video. And I'm uploading it, and if I move my little portrait down here, you can see it's uploaded right here. And now the thing that I uploaded is in my drive. Here it is. There it goes. See? So you see how, like, anybody that has access to the folder that you shared can take what they've collected go onto Google Drive and upload it. And then that way you can upload things so that Aunt Sally and Uncle Earl, who are on opposite sides of the country, can see what you put into the folder. They can put their own items into the folder. And beyond, audio files and video files, we can also talk about how you can collect family documents. So one of the things that the library can offer is some level of digitization. We have digitization equipment at the library. It's nothing super fancy, but it is something that if you have normal sized pieces or smaller, you can actually digitize them and then put them into that folder. So if you have pictures, if you have family documents, if you have wills, if you have deeds from the past, you can come in, use one of our copying machines. Instead of using it to copy, you can use it to scan. And one of the coolest parts about it is what you can do is you can actually have it scan and sent directly to your email address. So like if you scan an item, you can have that picture, you type in your email address, and you can have it sent to your email. Or if you have a thumb drive, you can actually plug the thumb drive in, scan the item, have the digital image that you've taken from the scanning put onto the thumb drive, and then it's in your thumb drive. Then you can take it to your computer, you can upload it into your Gmail, and then it'll be available for you and all of your collaborators. And we have one of these at almost all of our branches, and as long as it's small troubleshooting, our staff can generally help you a little bit with making sure that it works. They can't stand there and hold your hand through the process, but they can help you troubleshoot. We also, thanks to the library, have access to genealogical archives, including Ancestry and Heritage Quest Online. They are available if you are physically in the library using the library's Wi-Fi or on one of the library's computers. So if you go when you're on one of the library's computers, or if you're on their Wi-Fi, if you go to our website and click on click on online resources, it'll take you to this screen, and then your options are right there. So you see that Ancestry Library Edition is on there, and if let me show you. Nope, wrong one. Okay, so I'm just gonna go to. So if you go to click on online resources, one of the very top choice is actually genealogical resources, and you click on that, and it'll take you to all of the genealogical resources together. Now, normally in this class, we would spend some time kind of going through all these, and I could show you how to work with them. Unfortunately, because I'm not physically at one of the libraries, I can't click on them. They wouldn't work for me, just like they won't work for you at home, as I talked about at the very beginning. But here they are. This is where you can use them. And when we start doing in-person classes again, if you'd like, we will be offering this class again and again and again, and you can come in and play around with it. I'd be happy to see you and help you with that in those classes. Now, once you have a document, saving it to your drive, the great thing about all these things is, going back to Ancestry and Heritage Quest and all these other genealogical resources, is just because you're using the library edition, you can't create your own profile, or you can't create your own profile in the way that you would if you were paying for these subscriptions, right? Instead, you have the opportunity to actually download the documents that you're finding, or even just email them to yourself. So for example, if you look, let's see, a while back I did some research trying to find some information about my grandfather, right? And here he is down in this bottom corner right here. I found that on Ancestry.com. using the library's edition, downloaded it, and then I uploaded it into my drive. Now you upload files the same way that I showed you earlier with uploading audio files or whatever. It's all the same process. You right click, you click upload files. It will open up a dialog box that you can't see right now because apparently that doesn't come through in the stream, which is kind of frustrating. But it's the kind of dialog box that you're used to seeing. It's a folder. It lets you look through all folders on your computer, find one that you want to upload, and then you can upload it, and it'll show you the progress down here. So I just told it to upload a video of a video, and it's taking a minute. So this is the end. Thank you for coming. I know it was a little bit shorter than normal, but if we were in person, I would have explored those websites a bit with you. And like I've said multiple times now, it's just it can't. I can't do that when I'm not physically at one of the locations. I hope this has been helpful. I hope it's been useful. And of course, we will continue to offer this class every month or so. So once we're back to doing in-person classes, if you would like to come in and have someone kind of look over your shoulder as you're exploring, so that you can know what you're looking for. I'll be happy to see you at one of those classes. Just keep an eye on our website. I hope you have a good afternoon. I hope you're all staying healthy, and I'll see you next time.